Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? I'm here with Ricky, who's going to go over his second place Porunga deck that he played at Rockford. So, Ricky, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit how your weekend went?
Hi. So, my name's Ricky, as Joey just said. Weekend started off fairly stressful, as any big weekend would be. I literally picked the deck up about a week beforehand, was testing with some friends of mine. Was planning on playing Clash of Fates Goku, actually, and for funsies, I was like, well, let me try Shenron Ramp. Tried it out, ended up really liking the deck, and then one of my friends, shout out to my buddy Quinn, he was telling me that one of his boys was playing a variant of it down in Orlando. It was actually Brandon Scott. He was playing Porunga Ramp. So after the weekend went over, I was kind of looking over the lists and everything like that, and I was like, wow, I really like the idea of having a built-in world peace. I thought the applications for it were a lot better than being able to give something triple attack, because toe is a thing. So I ended up messaging Brandon, and we were talking all throughout the week, and he was kind of telling me how the deck was and everything, and I just fell in love with it. So that's how I ended up playing Porunga. Friday before the event, tried it out a couple games on Untap, really enjoyed it, and played it on Saturday. The event itself ran really smoothly. I ended up going 6-1 overall. My only loss was to the first place seed of Lee Shihan, and that was down to the wire match. Only ended up losing it for a mistake on my part, and overall, I was really happy with how the deck performed. I'm already starting to brew a better sideboard for it and everything like that, but overall, how the deck played, it went really well.
Excellent, man. Yeah, I was curious because you and me were talking about the Clash of Fates deck a lot, and then I saw you got the second place with Porunga. I was like, oh wow, that was a sort of quicker change, but I mean it definitely worked out in your favor, and you put the time into the deck, so it definitely paid off. So we'll go into the main deck, talk about it a little bit. So we've got in terms of multicolors, just the Kaiokens, obviously one of your wing editions. So Zeno Button, this is a card that I've seen pop up in the deck like over the weekend. Like a few other lists that topped were also playing Zeno Button. Was it just necessary because of all the 10k combos in the deck? Like how did the card perform for you?
I felt like anytime I saw Zeno Button in my hand, I did not care about what I did with my turn. It's it almost makes it as if your leader is SS3. I could tap out for Super Dragon Ball. I could multiple turn objection into whatever I wanted to hardcast, and at no point was I ever afraid of what my opponent was going to do, because I was just, okay, you swing, untap all my blue, because that's primarily what I was trying to charge, and all my 10Ks just cleared board for me.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, your deck's full of 10Ks that you realistically want them in the drop area. You don't really want them in your hand, so that makes a lot of sense. And you draw a ton of cards with the leader plussing and the Super Dragon Ball, so that makes a lot of sense. So that kind of brings up my next question: is Senzu Bean like super necessary in the deck with Zeno Button to leave you with a very defensive turn?
A lot of times I found myself charging Senzu Bean. Very rarely when I would play it, it was just to get me to either untapping energy for that next objection, or untapping energy to be able to hardcast a world peace within the same turn. But for the most part, yeah, it was just kind of energy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it is necessary for extending your plays on certain turns. So I was kind of thinking about, oh, maybe it's like not super necessary in the deck, but you probably do need at least like 3, maybe 4 to keep going with your plays. And with objection, how many objections were you typically trying to resolve in one game?
Pretty much at any given point. I know I kind of talked with some other ramp players about it. They were saying they were only running 3. I really liked running 4. A lot of my games, I found myself actually charging objections, because I would be able to play 2. It was nice having 4 in the deck, because your turn 3, your ideal turn 3 is always double objection into a Whis. So that way you can go from 3 energy to potentially 5 to 6 energy.
Right.
It's very important in the mirror match, because in the mirror match, it's whoever resolves Gogeta 7 first is typically winning that match.
Right. Definitely. And then the 2 Jocko. So was that for like primarily just U6, or were there any other matchups where that was really good against?
Yeah, so I actually ended up running the West Kai in my main board over the Jocko. The West Kai is nice because it's not a mandatory bounce. So sometimes it's nice just having that 5K pump.
Mhm.
It really came in clutch against U6 and in the mirror match because a lot of times, if the opponent's having issues filling their drop, they'll swing with a Whis or swing with another body that's not a Shenron, and they'll try to fill their drop with it, and you can just bounce those key pieces back to their hand, and they're just kind of dead in the water.
That's another actually really good application of the card for sure. I like that a lot. And then we have, for like your ramp pieces, we've got the 3 Whis Attendant and then the 2 Trunks. So I know there's like a combo where you can like 8-0 someone with like Kaioken and Trunks. Like, did that ever come up? Did the Trunks seem good? Sometimes to me it seems like overkill, but I know that there are some applications to it. So how'd you feel about it?
I never actually got to pull that OTK off, sadly, but Trunks was very nice because there'd be those turns where I could go from 3 energy to 6, and when I can world piece out the Trunks, he was a nice body to swing with and do those Sensu Bean plays, so that way I can get to the 7th energy and be able to hardcast another world piece to get Gogeta 7 out or anything else that I needed at that time.
Definitely. And I should have asked you this at the beginning. I kind of forgot, but I just got reminded. Why did you decide to play Porunga over Shenron, and what do you kind of think about the differences between the two leaders?
So I went back and forth between them all week, and even at the event, when I saw other players playing Shenron over Porunga, I was kind of trying to figure out, preferences for it. To me, I felt having that built-in world piece just had much more application to it than being able to give something triple attack. And that was because you could literally expend world pieces more freely because you always have that one in your back pocket. A lot of times people kind of forget that because everyone knows what Shenron does. They know something big is going to get triple attack. A lot of people aren't prepared for that. Okay, I'm at 8 energy, double world piece. They think, oh, well, he's out of options. And then you're like, okay, ultimate effect, play Victory Strike or play Beerus. And they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And just having that third world piece is so crucial, especially it allows you to tap out. And instead of, a lot of times it's kind of difficult to get that third world piece in your hand or that fourth world piece in your hand. So it's nice having the built-in effect of it.
Definitely. And then another card I am curious about is the Beerus. So this is a card that I saw in Brandon Scott's list, I think from like Orlando or one of the recent tournaments. But yeah, I am curious about it. How did the card do for you, and what are like the major applications of it?
I love the card. One of the things that Brandon kind of stressed to me was that it's your Victory Strike without needing to play Victory Strike, and I would 100% agree. I feel like in the probably 20 plus games that I played on Saturday, I only resolved Victory Strike maybe twice, whereas with Beerus, I was able to resolve it much more frequently because him being a 7-drop is a lot more important when you think about it, because it's much easier to get to that 7th energy turn 3, turn 4, whereas you might get to the 8th energy turn 4 going into your turn 5.
Gotcha. And then moving through the rest of the black cards, you've got the 1 unexpected turn. So that seems like a main board tech for something like U6 or maybe like Skilless. So did this card come up a lot? Like, was it worth main decking?
Yeah, it came out in a couple of my matches. On stream, I actually was able to resolve it both games, and it's very crucial against the U6 matchups because they go wide very quickly. And what a lot of things people don't realize is when it comes to U6 is they actually play a good amount of 2-drops. It's not just the 4-drops or the Chop of Autos or anything like that, but they're small 2-drop guys. They count towards that. All
right, so going over to the side deck, so you have the 1 King Yema. So where was that relevant against? Like, how did you feel about this card? Because I saw this on stream at Orlando, and I thought it was actually a really cool side deck for the the ramp matchup. So how did it feel for you?
I loved it. Every time I saw it in the mirror match, I felt very confident that I would end up winning it. And it's able to be recurred using the 4-drop Shenron. So you can play it, bounce away 2 of their targets in there. If they still have more threats that you're afraid of, you can swing with like a Whis or anything else that you might revive that's able to attack, combo it off, bring it back, and just kind of keep the loop going with it.
Gotcha. And then the 1 Mafuba, what did you want that for?
The Mafuba, I never really ended up sighting in. I think the niche matchups I ended up sighting in was more or less for the mirror. And that was just to try to stop Gogeta 7s if they got greedy and swung with it before they activated Kaioken or anything like that.
Gotcha. And then we've got the 2 Kais to prevent some aggro, the second unexpected turn, then the 3rd radar. So that seems like it's more along the lines for like Janemba. So I'm always curious about this from like both players' perspectives, the ramp player and the Janemba player. So, you know, the ramp players, like, they really do thin the deck out a lot, and, you know, things like Super Dragon Ball, 1-star ball, but you have the boss monsters to beat Janemba. So how does that matchup work? Like, do you ever feel like you're really close to decking out and then you just have to win like in a very small window, or like how does that feel for you?
So the nice thing about that matchup is that you kind of dictate the pace you want to play it at. Running things like Super Dragon Ball and the 1-star ball, if your opening hand isn't as favorable as you would like it to be, you can turn 2, play the Super Dragon Ball, and instead of pitching boss monsters or pitching whatever, you can actually end up pitching some of your 0-cost Dragon Balls. There was one play I ended up doing where I would play Super Dragon Ball and just pitch 2 0-cost balls. And then if you open up and your hand is a little more favorable, there's less setup required, you can always just pitch the Super Dragon Ball with your 1-star ball.
Nice. And then from there, you kind of just like drop the boss monsters and dictate basically what they're able to do, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
Nice. So then we have the 1 Dark Power Black Mass Sand. So since I see the rest of your Toki Toki engine is kind of like 1s and 2-ofs, but how come only 1 Dark Power?
So this was a change I ended up making. I believe originally Brandon had striving to be the best Goku in there, and I felt there was already enough kind of aggression, hate, things that stop 2-drops or less or anything like that. The Black Power Mass Saiyan I felt was better in the U6 matchup, as their hand size isn't big as it is, so pitching 2 to be able to play anything really hurts them even more. And it's also really nice in those niche matchups like against Lord Slug and things like that.
Gotcha. And then the final card in the side deck, the 1 Fu Shrouded. Now I feel like this card's really, really good in the main deck because, you know, after you either like leader ulti or like do a few world pieces, like this card seems like it just seals the deal, but how come it's only in the sideboard?
So for me, I didn't sight it once the entire weekend. I actually kind of fell out of love with the card. I liked the idea behind it, but I felt like most of my turn 4, turn 5 plays where I'm playing my boss monsters, the turn that I was going for, I just outright won. So it seemed kind of like a win more card to me.
Gotcha. That makes sense. A lot of times you do want to avoid win more because just unnecessary can throw off consistency. I definitely get that. So Ricky, overall, I mean, you did great at the tournament, man. Like, you've been working hard for it. Any final things you want to say about the tournament, or any final shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I definitely like to shout out 2 of my best friends. They've been crucial with play testing and just overall theory crafting for the deck in general. My buddy Quinn and my buddy Joe. Also want to shout out my wife Sandra. She's been super supportive through it. And guys, if you have a significant other, it's very important for them to support your hobbies. You don't want to go into a tournament getting yelled at or anything like that. It just kind of ruins the whole day for you. But overall, the event was great. I really wasn't expecting to go 6-1 and get second. I just wanted to get my invite for Nats. Deck played beautifully. There's definitely going to be some changes I'll make, but overall, everything worked out the way it was supposed to.
Excellent, man. Thank you so much for being on, and we will see you guys next time.
All right. Thank you.